All children except one grow up. But in 1991, Steven Spielberg dared to ask, what if Peter Pan did? This is Hook, a movie that turned childhood wonder into a bittersweet grown-up fairy tale. And behind all that magic lies one of the strangest productions in the 90s Hollywood history. Today we're diving deep into 20 weird facts you didn't know about Hook. From bizarre behind-the-scenes chaos to secret cameos, on-set breakdowns, and the moments that almost destroyed the film entirely. So grab your sword, sprinkle a little fairy dust, and let's fly back to Neverland, because it's time to rewatch the magic, right here, with Rewatch Club. Number 1. The movie Spielberg didn't want to make. It's hard to believe, but Steven Spielberg, the man who gave us E.T. and Jurassic Park, actually regretted making Hook. Originally, Spielberg fell in love with the idea in the early 80s, a grown-up Peter Pan rediscovering his inner child.
It's character, and it has an amazing transition. Obviously, to go from being an arbitrage lawyer to Peter Pan is an interesting...
But by the time production finally started years later, he admitted he'd lost touch with the story. He was going through a personal phase, becoming a father himself, and reportedly struggled to balance his emotional connection to childhood with the chaotic Hollywood machinery surrounding the movie. In later interviews, he called Hook a movie I wish I could have done better. Ironically, that mix of beauty and chaos is exactly why it became a cult classic for millions who grew up with it. Number 2, the set that became a real-life playground. When you watch Hook, Neverland looks like a theme park, because it basically was. Spielberg had an entire pirate village built on Stage 12 at Universal Studios, complete with ships, bars, rope bridges, and even a basketball court for the cast and crew. Robin Williams described it as the world's biggest playground, where everyone, from Dustin Hoffman to Julia Roberts, would literally swing from ropes between takes. Fun fact, crew members' kids were allowed to visit and play there, turning the set into an unofficial daycare. It might have been chaos, but it created that wild, lived-in energy you feel in every frame of Neverland. Number 3, Robin Williams had to hide his tattoos. Peter Pan is supposed to be boyish and pure, but Robin Williams? Not so much.
How far back can you remember, Peter?
I remember the hospital on Great Ormond Street.
Before shooting, makeup artists had to cover up Robin's real tattoos every single day, using a custom green-tinted foundation that took nearly an hour to apply. Why? Spielberg wanted Peter to look as though he'd never truly grown up, and tattoos symbolized adult experiences, something totally foreign to Pan's world. It's one of those subtle details that goes unnoticed, but helped Williams disappear completely into the role of a man torn between childhood and responsibility. Number 4. Julia Roberts was nicknamed Tinkerhell. Now here's where things got weird. Julia Roberts, cast as the enchanting fairy Tinkerbell, was at the height of her fame after Pretty Woman.
Every time someone says, I do not believe in fairies, somewhere there's a fairy that falls down dead.
I do not believe in fairies!
But filming Hook became one of the toughest moments of her life. She was mostly shot alone, isolated in a green room surrounded by blue screens. Spielberg later admitted that it made her miserable. To make matters worse, Roberts was going through a very public breakup at the time and earned the unkind on-set nickname Tinkerhell. But despite the tension, her ethereal performance still shines. Playful, mysterious, and lonely. Almost too real. Number 5. Dustin Hoffman and Bob Hoskins' secret prank. Now this one's pure gold. While filming one of Hook's final scenes, Dustin Hoffman, Captain Hook, and Bob Hoskins, Smee,
we could make the little buggers love ya.
No, Smee. No little children.
decided to mess with the entire crew. They walked hand in hand through the set, acting completely normal, as if Hook and Smee were secretly a couple. When a confused assistant asked why, Hoffman just said, "Didn't you read the subtext?" It was never part of the script, but their chemistry was so good, Spielberg kept some of those improvised moments in the final cut. That's why Hook and Smee's relationship feels oddly domestic at times. A weird, wonderful layer of humor that fans still love today. Number 6. The lost Spielberg version we'll never see. Before Hook became the movie we know, Spielberg envisioned something very different. A dark, emotional story about a father losing his imagination. His early concept had Peter Pan as a tragic figure, trapped between fantasy and adulthood, with fewer jokes and a much sadder tone. But as studio pressure mounted to make a blockbuster family film, that version was scrapped. Spielberg later said he always dreamed of remaking Hook the way I originally intended. But maybe the magic lies in the imperfection, that messy balance between innocence and chaos that defined the 1990s. Number 7. Spielberg's secret crisis on set. Behind all the childlike wonder, Hook was one of the most emotionally draining shoots of Steven Spielberg's career. He was juggling an enormous budget.
I was in a very good place. I was very happy, and Hook was as a result of how happy I was in my life, in my family.
a star-studded cast, and constant creative tension. At one point, Spielberg privately confessed to Robin Williams that he felt lost in his own movie. The director who once defined childhood fantasy suddenly found himself overwhelmed by it. He later admitted that he would walk off set and call home just to hear my kids' voices. That's the strange beauty of Hook. It wasn't just Peter Pan rediscovering his childhood. It was Spielberg, too. Number 8. Gwyneth Paltrow's hidden cameo you probably missed. Blink and you'll miss it. But yes, a teenage Gwyneth Paltrow appears in Hook. She plays the young version of Wendy Darling in the flashback sequence where Peter remembers who he truly is. The cameo happened thanks to her godfather, Steven Spielberg himself. It was one of her first ever film appearances, long before Shakespeare in Love made her a star. It's wild to think. Before she was an Oscar winner, Gwyneth was quietly helping Peter Pan rediscover Neverland. Number 9. Robin Williams' emotional breakdown. Robin Williams brought Peter Banning to life with warmth and humor, but few know how emotionally intense that transformation really was.
He was at his funniest between shots because he was the least comfortable playing that character. When he began to evolve into the Pan,
In between takes, he'd often step away from set, overwhelmed by the story's emotional core. A father reconnecting with his children. Williams later said Hook hit me harder than I expected, since it mirrored his own life as a father constantly away on shoots. Spielberg noticed it too, and reportedly shot several scenes out of order to give Robin emotional breathing room. That deep, aching sincerity in his eyes? It wasn't acting, it was real. Number 10. Tinker Bell's tiny room was a real set. Most assumed Julia Roberts filmed her Tinker Bell scenes entirely on green screen. But in true Spielberg fashion, they actually built a miniature physical set, scaled perfectly for her size. Each prop was oversized by 300%, cups, books, even sewing needles, to make her appear fairy-sized. Lighting it was a nightmare. Every shot required multiple exposures and motion control cameras to blend Roberts with the live-action world. It's one of those invisible effects moments that looks simple, but took Spielberg's crew weeks of engineering. Number 11. Hook's crew hit a wild list of secret cameos. Here's a fun one for eagle-eyed fans. Buried inside Hook are several uncredited celebrity cameos, and they're unbelievably random. Among them, Glenn Close disguised as a male pirate who gets thrown into the boo box. Phil Collins pops up as the London inspector investigating the kidnapping.
Well, the lab boys can analyse this to the lot. So, Mr. and Mrs. Banning, we've wired the phones and two...
And even George Lucas and Carrie Fisher make a blink and you miss it appearance as a kissing couple on the bridge when the fairy dust falls. It's like the ultimate early 90s Hollywood Easter egg, hidden in plain sight. Number 12. The boo box scene almost didn't happen. Speaking of Glenn Close, that iconic boo box moment was never in the original script. It was improvised on set after Spielberg joked that the pirates needed something more terrifying. Glenn Close, who was visiting the set that day, volunteered to do a cameo just for fun. The crew dressed her up as a grungy pirate, shaved her beard line, and filmed the shot, all within an hour. That scene became Hook's most infamous punishment moment. Weirdly funny, slightly disturbing, and totally unforgettable. Number 13. Hook's crew was the real Lost Boys, one of the sweetest and strangest behind-the-scenes facts. Many of the child actors playing the Lost Boys stayed friends with Robin Williams for years after filming.
What's wrong, Peter?
I can't stay and play. I've done what I came to do, and now I have to go back.
No.
He'd call them on their birthdays, check on their schoolwork, and even invite a few to movie premieres. Years later, some of them described him as our real-life Peter Pan. It's a perfect mirror of the story itself, a man rediscovering joy through the kids who believed in him. In fact, one of them, Dante Basco, who played Rufio, said Robin changed his entire life. He later voiced Zuko in Avatar, The Last Airbender, and dedicated that role to Robin's memory. Number 14. The food fight that was almost real. The colorful paint-like feast in the Lost Boys dinner scene is one of the most memorable images in Hook, and it was just as messy behind the camera. Spielberg wanted a child's dream version of food. So instead of CGI or dyed oatmeal, the art team created edible whipped puddings and yogurt pastes in neon colors. When the cameras rolled, Spielberg told the kids to improvise and attack. Within seconds, the set turned into pure chaos, paint, food, and laughter everywhere. Robin Williams later said, that day, everyone became a lost boy again, even Steven. Number 15. Spielberg's deep personal connection to Peter. For Spielberg, Hook was more than a fantasy. It was a confession. He saw himself in Peter Banning.
Of Peter Pan, and also beneath that is about kind of childhood, the good and bad of it.
A man so consumed by work that he forgot what mattered most. During filming, his son Max was only 6, the same age as Peter's kids in the movie. Spielberg later admitted that the film was his Letter to My Children, and that every scene of Peter reconnecting with his son was him trying to do the same in real life. That's what makes Hook hit harder as you grow older. It's not just about never growing up. It's about remembering why growing up shouldn't mean forgetting who you were. Number 16. The most expensive movie of its time. With a $70 million budget in 1991, nearly $160 million today, Hook was the most expensive movie ever made at the time. Spielberg's massive Neverland sets, practical effects, and sprawling cast sent costs skyrocketing. The film went 40 days over schedule and tens of millions over budget. Studios panicked, tabloids mocked it, and critics were divided. But decades later, audiences reclaimed it, proving that you can't measure heart in dollars. Number 17. The deleted Rufio scene that broke everyone. There's a deleted scene that fans never got to see, and it's heartbreaking. Originally, Rufio was supposed to whisper to Peter before he dies, "I wish I had a dad like you." Spielberg found it too devastating and cut it from the theatrical version, fearing it would be too heavy for kids. But when Dante Basco revealed it years later in interviews, fans were shattered. It perfectly captured Rufio's entire arc and why his death still hits so hard today. Number 18. Robin Williams' secret goodbye to Neverland. After filming wrapped, Robin Williams reportedly snuck back onto the set one last time.
But there's something, it should be played by. The next thing is great if this movie works is that they should make Peter Pan.
He wanted to say goodbye to Neverland. A janitor found him sitting quietly on Hook's ship, just looking at the empty set. When asked if he was okay, Robin smiled and said, "Yeah, I just didn't want to leave yet." That image, the real-life Peter Pan unable to say goodbye, might be the most haunting and beautiful moment of all. Number 19. Spielberg hid a tribute in Ready Player One. Decades later, Spielberg slipped a hidden homage to Hook into his 2018 film Ready Player One. When Parzival and Art 3 MIS fly over the digital world, you can spot Hook's pirate ship floating in the background, a quiet nod from Spielberg to the movie that defined his inner child. It's his way of saying he finally made peace with it. A thank you letter to the film that taught him, and us, to believe again. Number 20. The legacy that refused to grow old. Critics in 1991 might have called Hook a misfire. But the audience, the kids who watched it on VHS, wore out the tape, and quoted Rufio in the schoolyard, they knew better. They grew up, had kids of their own, and rewatched it. And now, Hook lives on as a cult classic. A messy, imperfect, utterly magical film that reminds us that the true treasure of Neverland isn't youth, it's wonder. Because growing up is inevitable, but forgetting? That's a choice. And that's Hook. 20 weird, wonderful facts behind one of the strangest and most heartfelt movies of the 90s. From Spielberg's personal struggles to Robin Williams' hidden heartbreak, it's a film that aged like childhood memories. Bittersweet, glowing, and impossible to let go of. Now it's your turn. Which moment from Hook still gives you chills? The Boo Box, Rufio's last stand, or that final flight back home? Drop it below. And if you ever believed in fairies, in childhood, or in second chances, you already belong to the Rewatch Club.